we go. I do believe we are live, so I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here again on another day of conscious evolution, another day of cows watching us, another day of us watching cows. What's up? What's up, cow? Another day of Pippi wondering if she's supposed to get involved or not. Hi, Pips. Hi, Pips. Hi, Pips. Today's stream topic is about knowing and about how much we know, about how there are things you know that you don't know you know, you know? How this process of knowing is not necessarily something that ever comes to a stop, and how knowing things can be both an asset and a detriment. You might know something, and then knowing that something might cause you a lot of turmoil, a lot of hardship, a lot of emotional distress. And you might not know that same something and then get to live a life of ignorant bliss, like Pippi. You see? That's what it looks like to not know anything. It looks kind of nice. It does look kind of nice, I won't lie. Seems very freeing, not knowing much. And yet, I don't know if I want to know less. Right? It still seems that knowing is somehow valuable. I ask myself if there's a threshold. Right? I'll find myself wanting to know a certain set of things. And then in this wanting to know this set of things, I'll I'll start pursuing the information that pertains to that set of things. And then I'll reach a point of saturation where I feel I've had enough. Like I've gained the information I was supposed to gain from that experience, and now it's just causing me, I use the word anxiety, right? Is anxiety a function of not knowing or a function of knowing? All right? Because if you knew nothing, maybe you wouldn't be that anxious. And then at the same time, we can think about our dogs reacting to fireworks, right? The reason that some dogs are scared of fireworks is not because they are actually in danger, but because they don't know what's happening, right? All they know is the loud sounds that they're scared of. And in that way, some knowing might serve them well. You know what I know? I know love is true. And I know I'm happy to be here with you, friends, once again. I know I have my Dynavap here next to me. I know I slept 8 hours instead of 6 yesterday for the first time in a week. And I know that I'm happy about that. Sure am. Feels good to have rested enough. It's quite interesting to see how you adjust, right? What becomes your normal? What becomes acceptable to you? Maybe that's another one as well, right? And I feel like there is a matter of knowing in that as well, where I knew that I had a bunch of things on my mind, right? There's a bunch of things to know. And I knew that I should sleep at an appropriate time. But I also know why it was hard for me to continue. I also know that right now my mind is logged. I haven't said something in the stream just yet, but if you have some extra healing intentions to send into the universe, do send some of them Jovan's way. she's actively getting better right now. Her coughing from yes. There we go, live again. We seem to have had some technical difficulties. I know that it's hot, you know. I feel like that's one of the things that's almost been the only thing I've been allowed to know as of late. You know, like that's almost the only thing I can think of. And it is definitely messing with my experience of life a little bit, right? Like I cannot not think about it. Like the only thing that is allowed to be known is like my body keeps telling me that I'm hot. I'm hot. I'm still hot. I'm hot right now. Have I let you know that I'm hot? I know it's been 1 second since the last time it felt hot, but it's still feeling hot right now. Do you remember? Spent some time thinking about global warming again today. And I have family members that do not believe in global warming. Global warming is a hoax. Global warming was invented by the left. Uh, and now all of us are experiencing global warming together. On a positive note, I saw there's a bunch of green stuff growing in Antarctica. It's pretty cool. Antarctica is becoming habitable to grass and stuff. I don't know if it's grass, more like mosses. To greenery. Pippi's joining me again. I'm beat. I have been beat as of late. I did get some work done again today, but it did feel like I knew what I had to do and I just did it, got it done with. And then directly afterwards, there's just this experience of almost wanting to just let go. Again, I'm still stuck on knowing that Joe is getting medical help right now. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to think about something else. Maybe I can check in on her again. Hey, Joe. Just checking in again. Hope you're doing okay. Hope the x-rays are going well. Sending you love. Knowing things. Knowing things. One of the things that I know is that it's of utmost importance for us to encourage one another, thank one another, appreciate one another for our willing to let each other know. Right? Because at least in my experience, it can feel like I'm supposed to just stay quiet sometimes, say nothing. Hey, LA, bless your friend. Thinking of Joe, absolutely. Only thinking of Joe right now. I am I am in the know. I am in the know. Hey, love Maju. It's nice having you here, friend. Have I seen your username before? I do like it. Love Maju too. I am literally melting here a little bit. I can feel the sweat running down my body. I'm sorry. I vape this little dino vape with the intention of finding some acceptance, finding some knowledge, some knowing of the things I have in my control and the things I don't. Knowing that I am capable of finding solace and calm and peace in these moments. I think I definitely have been in some sort of state. It's kind of a type of limbo I've been existing in. I think it might have something to do with being the end of year, right? The 9th of December. There's like 20 days left to this year. And that usually does something to my brain as well. I am a very cyclical, time based person. I like doing things in patterns. And it's almost like when it comes to the end of the year, nothing technically changes, right? But psychologically, it feels like we're at the end of a pattern. And when I'm at the end of a pattern, it feels like there's not a lot of room left to tell a story, or it's not a lot of space to try something else. And that's a absolute lie. And I know that. I know that, right? That I can start with a new hobby. I can start exercising for a marathon. I can learn a new piece of software, start scrapbooking, etc., etc. Right now. I don't have to start next year. And yet, I know, I know at least this about myself. I don't know if I know this about everyone else, but I know that that's hard to do. And I wonder if we know why. This year has been very challenging in many ways. Very high stakes. We put our name, our person on the line over and over and over again. And I know I can do stuff like that, but I don't know if I want to continue. I feel that the false crutch of New Year's is interesting. It is interesting. The false crutch of New Year's. I haven't heard it said like that before. I like that. Am I leaning my weight on the false crutch of New Year's? Maybe in part. Maybe in part I am. I feel I feel one of the things that is a part, and maybe we can find some common ground, with this as a consideration. One of the things we can agree on, one of the things we know about this time of year, LA, is that it usually does come with a bunch of other things, family or expectations or Christmas or the business wrapping up or the last of the documents being filed for the year, or I mean, like there's always something that gets in the way, right? There's a certain busyness to this season where you do not have the bandwidth almost to consider other things as well. And I think maybe that's one of the things that I'm knowing right now is that it feels like I'm limited on bandwidth. And I don't know if I'm doing it intentionally, or if it's just kind of like something that's with me right now. Shoot, child of mine. Yeah, bandwidth. How much capacity do I have for other things, for new things, considering all I know about my life right now? These are the questions that I ask. And yesterday's stream topic was about how, despite you feeling low, you still have bandwidth for experiences that are from the highs. All right. And even though I might feel like I don't have enough bandwidth to keep everything balanced, still I can give love to my animals, right? In a moment like this. Still, love is true, right? Oh, you got a sneezy? Close. Was close to a sneezy. Oh. Chew! Sneezy. You have more bandwidth than you know. Maybe you do know how much bandwidth you have, but I feel like there is something to be said about how much we forget as well. That is in part what I wanted to talk about today, and considering knowing that things you forget are also a part of the known, right? I had a moment like that today where I remembered when my dad saw me again after my hair got cut. He could see the back of my head. I don't know where. And then he asked me, "Did you get like chopped by an axe or something?" Asked me some question like that. I'm like, "What?" Not that I remember, because he's like, "There's a big scar on my scalp here somewhere." And in that moment, I'm like, "No, I can't remember what would have made that scar." Right? I didn't know. I didn't know where the scar had come from. And then I remember that I hit my head against a TV TV stand. And that's probably where my scar came from. Right? And in that way, I have literal physical scars, right? Like big cuts on my scalp where hair will never grow again. Right? You can see the line there. And I, in that moment at least, having a conversation with my dad, did not know where it came from. And even though I did, in hindsight, remember, I feel like just that fact to me communicated a lot about knowing to myself. And more importantly, more important than just knowing, is like the way our brain determines the importance of knowing certain things. Which things are worth knowing to you as a person? I feel like that's a pretty loaded question to ask. This cat's trying to get underneath my hands. Nay. Kitty is like, come on, bro. Oh, come on, give me attention. No, no, you can't get on me. I'm allergic to yes. Cannot touch you. Hello to you, Zano. Safik Patel, like your username. Oh, you owing. We got one animal here, and then we got animal two already being jealous. I can touch doggos. I'm no allergic to doggers. I'm touching dogger feetsies. Dogger feetsies. Then you bite me, you monster. You, I'll bite you back. Hello, ma. I subbed and liked. Thank you, Suffolk. I appreciate that, friend. It makes a difference, dude. You subbing and liking literally makes a difference in my life. And I want you to know that. I feel like YouTubers probably have told you that before, but you should know. You do make a difference by supporting creators on this platform. Just to give you friends an idea, like since starting these live streams, I have been allowed to know a certain perspective that I would have never had available to me if not for this experience. Thank you. I've never gotten attention. Ah, Suffolk. Well, that's one of the things that I do try to do on this stream is I try and interact directly with friends that tune in. And I do this every day. Pepe is ook bijzonder smelt. Uh, my mom was like, did the dog die? With Pepe sprawled out on the grass. You made my day, bless. Risha, damn, I envy those beautiful curls of yours. Risha, I'm a girl watching, bless. Thank you. All are accepted in this space, dear friends. Thank you as well, Risha. Love is true. It's nice to have you friends here. Today, we're talking about if you just got here, our centering thought, our theme is about knowing things. And I feel maybe we can take our new friends. You should be. Maybe we can take our new friends as an example in that way, right? Where Safik mentioned that people don't necessarily give them attention. And that, in my mind, is something that I feel all of us know everybody wants, right? On a literal level. And this is something that when I when I really started investing into understanding people, knowing how to talk to people, that was like the common theme, is that people want to feel important, right? And even though that as a teaching is something all of us know, when you really integrate that into your own experience and you just allow people to know that they are important, you are Safik, right? In this way, in the same way that I am saying these words, you are influencing this world. Every single one of us are important. I've been thinking about the economy a lot. I've been going into deep dives of like the asbestos situation, global warming as it's going on right now, the oil industry doing pretty much the exact same shit that they were doing back in the day, like cost analyzing, being like, yo, a few million people might die, but we calculated, and we determined that it's fine. It's actually fine. And in that way, right, in their minds, human beings have an asset value, right? You're worth a certain amount of money to these corporate overlords. And I can't imagine that makes us feel important. All right. If you had to see how much the industry, how much the machine values your human life, it won't make you feel very important. It's kind of stark. It's kind of shocking. It's like, oh wow, oh wow, right? And in that way, if our corporate overlords are not the ones making us feel important, then it's up to us. It's up to me and you to make each other feel important because that's literally the only access we have to this world. Where are you from, mate? I live in South Africa. Ek is gebore in South Africa ook. I was born here too. Hi, Risha. Bless again. That's what I thought, Safi. I don't need to be anything other than here, right now. Now imagine beautiful golden aura around my head. Yes. That's again. I wish I was there. Where you from? That's again. Thank you so much. You are loved. Melty is famous to me. Sano is famous to me too. Right? I watch like we're not even just watch and like and comment on, but actively am being recommended Zano's content on YouTube. Yeah, sentences. Yeah, Zano's famous too. And to me, bless you, friends. Are we talking about United Healthcare now? A little bit. There's definitely some United Healthcare like background information in the conversation that I'm having. Definitely. Like I wasn't directly talking about that. I was more talking about this like steamroll of global warming, you know, and like the infrastructure damage. Uh, and I mean, like I'm like living in Africa, so I get to have a perspective on the heat, and my mind is like, oh wow, something needs to do make cold or something, and I need to stay in that box until it's no longer summer, and then maybe I'll live for a while in the winter, and then I'll retreat back underground. Right, and my mind is starting to like conspiracize building bunkers for myself. You know, like not to get away from nuclear explosions, just to get away from the nuclear explosion that is our sun happening ceaselessly. Oh, that's so cool. I'm infiltrating the YouTubes. Yeah. I've been watching your subscribers climb slowly but surely as well, Zano. So I'm super stoked for you, friend. You just need to keep going. This every day. I mean, if you like, I think you will probably grow faster than me, and I'm super okay with that. But if you go every day for the next 4 years as well, like you'll probably like 4x the amount of growth that I've been able to reach. I love my daily Zano YouTube notives. Me too. There she is. Hey Joe. We have in part been sending you lovin's, right? I've been trying to not talk about it ceaselessly, but it has been occupying a very big part of my mind. How are you feeling? Uh, are you okay? Let us know. We love you. How's the work season going up there? I'm too controversial to talk about this topic. I don't know what the work season question was about. I don't know if you're asking me. Joe Bod, my mind was just thinking about you. Thank you, LA. Hey, Suffolk. Maybe you can let us know, Suffolk. Today's stream topic is about knowing again. Right? So, what is something that you've known for a very long time and that you feel is becoming more and more apparent or true or a part of your experience? For me, I feel the thing I've known in that way is technology. Technology has had this sway over me. This siren call alluring me, coming closer, entrenching me in all of its nets of interwebs. And yet, if I didn't learn how to traverse this universe, would I be what I am right now? Would I know what I know right now? Right? No, no, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. And then again, we come like full back. It's like, is that knowing a good thing? I think it is. Like, if we're gonna talk about the the previous thing, right? The United the United Healthcare thing. In that way, this is kind of a historical event that has occurred in our timeline. It definitely does. It's like a let them eat cake kind of thing, right? It has that let them eat cake kind of energy. It's giving let them eat cake. And in that way, it's again like in the same way that the let them eat cake thing, like that was their thing. Ours is what deny, defend, oppose, right? That has now become like a mantra against this like literal exploitation of humanity, and it's going to put a lot of thoughts in a bunch of our minds. We're going to know something about ourselves. We know something about ourselves because of that experience, right? Like when United Healthcare announced what happened, right? Like that the CEO got assassinated on their Facebook page. I think 75% of the reactions was laughing emojis. All right. And in that way, uh, it lets people know something, right? It's like, oh, this is how people feel right now. And that is something we wouldn't have known if this exact same assassination happened to a, you know, CEO of a massive insurance company. It would have probably, for the most part, maybe been published in a newspaper in your country, and then mostly forgotten pretty much directly afterwards. But now, just 20 years later, the internet's a thing. Every person and their mom has access to a smartphone and the internet, and in that way can contribute to this larger conversation and perpetuate this conversation, this consideration about what's happening in our world right now. And it's a pretty big deal. We know things. We know more now than we have ever known before as a collective species. There's so many bugs here. I mean, I am literally on a farm somewhere in Africa. Bugs are probably to be expected. It's very had. It's very hard to keep up with. I'm losing steam. I'm doing so good though. Yeah. Again, my advice is to see if you can make it easier for yourself. If you feel like you're losing steam, instead of stopping, scale down, right? Still continue forward, still continue doing the thing, showing up for love, but just make it make it possible for yourself, right? Do it in a way that you know you can do it, not in a way you know is going to be hard to do sometimes. And if you want to come back to the hard way to do it, you can as well. You know this. Sam, was that for me? Literally insane, but almost over. Ah, probably was. When I was talking about all of that end of year stuff with Lois Zano, I did think about her a lot. It's been insane, but it's almost over. Bless. I'm happy to hear that. Zano, according to major media, the controversial opinion is you shouldn't be celebrating his death. He has a family. And at least because of his tens of millions of US dollars of salaries he's been getting paid, his family is going to be okay for the rest of their lifetimes, right? And probably their families thereafter's lifetimes as well, because he got paid millions of US dollars to increase company profits in an insurance company, in a medical care insurance company. All right. The only way to increase profits is either to ensure that medicine and treatment gets cheaper, or for them to deny treatment. And guess what? Treatment and care has not gotten cheaper. So these companies are making record profits by denying people the treatment that they need for something that they paid for, right? If I paid for Wi-Fi, and then it suddenly just doesn't Wi-Fi, that's you're stealing from me, right? You have stolen from me. I have paid for something, and now you're not giving me this thing that I'm paying for. Yeah, I wonder. I'm okay for now. Bless. Happy to hear the show. Don't know what's causing the cough, but I got an inhaler now. Get an X-ray. Yes, Lois. The work question was for you. Bless. Someone just to screw up will replace him. Yeah, they made that clear in their shareholder meeting. It's like there's a bunch of people just like him with the same values. They say ready to take his place. Like, okay, good, great. Yeah, that's how terrorist organizations work. So no surprise there. True. I did. They ruled out pneumonia, but they said they could only really test for so much at urgent care. If I understood, if it's allergies or asthma, I need to see a specialist to be confirmed. Oh, Javan, sending oxygen. So not RSV, Joe? Hopefully not. Hey, Melita, it's nice having you here too, dear friend. Today's stream topic has been about knowing. About knowing. You want to tell us what you have known as of late? What was the most important thing to know recently? Maybe that's a good question to ask. I'll think about an answer myself. What was the most important thing for me to know in the year 2024? Suddenly I disconnect. I think the most important thing that I had to know in the year 2024 is that I am capable, right? And I'm going to keep it open and vague like that because I feel this year let me know that I can pretty much whatever. I can everything. I can anything that I need to. I can suffer. I can happy. I can sad. I can angry. I can lose. I can win. I can help a lot. And I feel it's very easy for us to not know those things about ourselves as well. Especially if we don't have the opportunity to be challenged like that or aren't in the environment to experience that much. I can talk about human influencing global warming with you guys. I can talk about human influence global warming with you guys. We don't have to. We're not really talking about that at all right now, actually. Like that was like 30 minutes ago or something. Uh, that I am like a rainbow, very intriguing and vast, but I seem to disappear quickly to others, although I am always here. A deeper understanding of who I am and how to interact with me and others. That's a beautiful answer, Melina. Beautiful, but somber. There's a part of me that wants to remind you that, in the same way as a rainbow, I and others will always love and appreciate you when you are willing to show yourself. And in that way, it gives you a certain autonomy. Maybe that is what you got to know about yourself. That gives you a certain power over others' intrigue, others' access to your infinite vastness. Beautiful and somber sounds about right. Taking a deep breath with you. in confirmation of this experience that you're having. I'm trying to, in the same way you have, liken myself to some sort of natural phenomena. If I had to liken myself to something like that, right, I would liken myself to sunlight. I know, cringe, cheesy, a little bit, but it's true. And in that way, rainbows are a function of sunlight as well. I think Veritasium recently posted a very in-depth video about how rainbows. You think the sunlight thing? So in that way, right, it is scorching, absolutely scorching here in South Africa. And I actively avoid the sunlight. I actively try and hide from it because it hurts. It is so intense, it hurts me. And in that way, I have that relationship with people as well, Melita, where my intensity can sometimes be painful. All right. When you're feeling cold, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like you're crawling into yourself, then sunlight helps, right? Then suddenly that heat, that door, that intensity helps you open up, right? Makes you feel like it loosens you up. And in that way, people in my life experience sometimes only reach out to me when they reach a low point in their own experience, right? And I'm okay with that as well. Maybe not a low point, but a point of feeling like they're cold enough, right? That they have been without intensity and then coming back to it. And it's given me a lot of perspective as well. It's allowed me to maintain, at least in my own experience, a certain stability in myself, knowing thyself, right? Oh, my recent water concert journey. As I sprayed my water, it caught a ray of sun and I saw a rainbow. It was too cute to be true. That does sound so special. Yes, intensity. I understand everything. I've never articulated, I've never known the words I just said in the way I just said them. So thank you, Elida, for allowing that consideration and perspective as well. For allowing that knowing. Maybe knowing is not the goal. Maybe the strive for information is unhelpful. We should be more interested in wonder. I know, I say, all right? And in that way, I don't say I wonder. Because if I say I know upon you sharing this truth with me, there is this feeling of us being united, right? But if you tell me something like we should not be striving for knowing shouldn't be the goal, and I say, oh, I wonder, I wonder, right? Maybe, and I believe and I agree, I can feel you maybe like bringing this point, Zana, there is a lot more room for exploration in that. Like we will allow ourselves, if you will, to gain more perspective, gain more information if we wonder instead of just knowing what it is. But at the same time, some things are not worth wondering about, right? Part of me wants to almost like search the exact definition of wonder as well. King Solomon talking about Zano, that was King Solomon's opinion that you should strive to know things your whole life and never know all of them. That was what I started today's stream topic of talking about, right? Just to toot my own horn. Like we did mention that even though you are in this pursuit of knowing, you can never know everything. That there is this very well understood phenomenon that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, right? And then I feel like the third perspective, for me at least, is this willingness to lean into the unknown in certain things, right? And I'm willing to admit that as well, Zana. So I'm there with you on that, because the not know mind has allowed me worthy experiences too. But, and this is where my but comes in, it's not professional always, right? I feel knowing is very much something that has been attached to the professional world, the financial world, right? If you want to make a business decision, uh, or etc., etc., them being like, "Oh, I wonder if we'll be profitable," isn't exactly a good sign. You want them to know. You want them to know what they're doing. You want them to know what their operating margins are. You want them to know how much profit they can expect, etc., etc. No silence, observance, giving people the gift of silence doesn't happen very often. I think if you are gonna give people the gift of silence, you need to be very clear about the fact, because at least in my personal experience, if you are just going to shut down and stay quiet out of nowhere, for example, it will pretty much generate a trauma response in the other person. And I've had this conversation recently with my dad about the difference, the opposite of love, if you will, not being hatred, but the opposite of love being indifference, right? If I hate you and I think about you and I want to stab you sometime, all right, that's not the opposite of loving you, right? It's kind of love adjacent in a way. However, if I don't think about you at all, ever, that is the opposite of love. That is the opposite of love, right? Literal absence, the absence of yourself. And I don't know if that's necessarily a gift, right? But something that you're taking away. Oh yeah, knowing and information is completely run rampant in our society. True, very much so. We know more now than we have literally ever known before, on an individual level and on a societal level simultaneously. And in that way as well, we have forgotten so much of what we know too. And I feel that's almost even more disturbing. I'm not talking about silent treatment melt, that's abuse. Yeah, okay. Good. Thank you, Zana. If found that asking question is always a good aid to knowing, I found that asking questions is always a good aid to knowing, making conversing much easier. I very much agree with that, Shaw. It's interesting that you say that, because I spent some time thinking about that part of my knowing as well. I thought about some new people that I met 2 days ago at the slapping competition. And I thought to myself that if I had to meet this person again in the future, would they like me or not? That was like the thing I wanted to know in my own experience. And then I determined that yes, they would in fact like me. And then I asked why. And then I came to the conclusion that they would like me because I, as you said beautifully, Joe, I asked them a bunch of questions about their life. I asked them a bunch of questions just about them. I showed interest. I made them feel important. And I spoke very little about myself. Very little. The only time I ever spoke about myself is when I was asked questions. Again, right? In that way, leaving it up to them as well. And I, at least I believe, because of you friends and because of this space, don't feel like I am starved for attention or starved for the opportunity to talk about myself as much. right? I'm like a person like all of us, right? And I only have my own experiences to talk about in that way. But I, at least at this point in my life, find it a lot easier to suspend my want to talk about myself or about my own achievements, etc., etc., and just ask the other person questions. It will allow you to it will allow you to know a lot about them, right? And they will know that you care. If Less again, I'm saying people give the space to slow down, smell the roses, and so forth. I feel you. I like to talk about the things I know, but the deeper I go, the more I realize I don't know. I wonder how our conversations in the future will change because of that as well, Joe. Because we'll have like attachments and access to language models and stuff like that. So, as we kind of reach the limits of our own knowing in a conversation, we might bring in another teacher, right, to learn together, right? Like we can tap out our own knowledge and then from that tapped out foundation, start learning anew. I'm also afraid of the abyss too. I peeked into it a few times and it was not enjoyable as a living, breathing being, if you catch my drift. Yeah, right. One of the things that's fun about being a living and a breathing human being, or just being, is the actual act of breathing. This is something that Christian believes very strongly as well, is that we are here, in part at least, to breathe. Like we like this as a soul, as a spirit. This thing of like is good. It's nice. We want that. We appreciate it. Apparently, according to him. So I completely agree. The abyss in that way doesn't fill your senses with the everything in the same way this feminine experience does. It's a little bit more just being, not living, breathing, just just being. We don't even know how much we don't know. Yeah, the slice of the pie that is the unknown unknown could literally be infinitesimally large, right? The sliver of the pie that is the known known could also be infinitely small. And the more we know, the more we'll realize that we don't. I feel like with the language models and super intelligent AIs that we're going to be bringing online over the next few years, they will definitely help us like dip our toes into the unknown in a way that we've not been able to. But again, a great deal many people will never download that information. It will never be a part of their experience. It will never be a part of their knowing. Maybe some will. Some will be interested enough, but some won't. And I feel that's also something to know about our willingness to know things. It takes time to process information, says Joe. We need to slow down to do that. That's why we need silence in our lives, rhythmically dancing between the info intake and observation and the silence and reflection. It's beautiful that you say that, Joe. I believe this too, especially since I am what would be considered a psychonaut, right? If an astronaut is someone that traverses space, a psychonaut is someone that traverses mind, right? And I'm not the one to coin this term, thank goodness. I think it would give it less credence. But I do consider myself a psychonaut. And in that way, the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to, as Joe said, slow down afterwards, right? If you have absorbed a lot of information, allow yourself some time to slow down and process. Give yourself that silence, balancing that info, intake, observation, and that silence and reflection. I like that. I think that maybe that's what I need to kind of steer my mind into. That if I find myself in a state of like, I can just be like, this is silence. We're having some silence. We're having some reflection right now. Yes, the abyss is not great. It's better to not look too long. 100% says LA to Joe as well. Zano, I think of the abyss like a man who goes to work in a little booth. And from that little booth, he can see all of creation. He can choose to leave his booth to experience it, or he can remain. I like that, Sam, says Zano. So I like that too. And to add to your visualization, right? We can, instead of seeing this man in a booth, like a little cell phone booth, standing on the side of a road, looking at all of creation, we can see him as the seed, right? In the middle of a Taurus field. So there are like these pillars coming off of this booth that he is in, and he gets to look at this energy flow in this kind of like everything that is around him, right? And in that way, he can stay in that little kernel, in that pure beingness, or he can give himself to that flow and become a part of it. And at any point, you can go into the abyss, into the nothingness that is the absorber, right? That is that I at the center of that experience. Or you can become everything that you are right now. And you have. Congratulations. Woo! Yeah, you're a person right now. It's not as much, it's not as grand, it's not as fantastical as being a God, being everything all at the same time. But here you are, still technically that same thing. And it was a big leap. It was a big decision to go from being everything to being something. All right. Within the everything that you are something of. I thank you, friends, for being here on this planet with me. You are loved. You do make this experience more worthy by your presence. Right? The fact that all of us are here together is what makes it worth it. Jovan, Sam, Melanie, Loazana, and Malti, we are all so smart and open. I love you all so much. I'm always so happy to be here with you guys. So I know it's so wholesome. We love you too, dear friend. Taking a deep breath with you, feeling welcome in the space with you, friends. This is nice. Yes, that. Congratulations. Nice. You, friends, have changed my life so much for serious truths. You, friends, have changed mine too. You, friends, have allowed me to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that love is true. Feels feels like we have allowed ourselves to create a certain magic in this space. And I am happy to be an alchemist of energy alongside you, friends. I do think I'm going to end the vertical stream for now for today, and then we're gonna drop it down and start the horizontal one next. Thank you, friends, for joining me, sharing this moment. See you, friends, again soon. All right, in a moment. Goodbye, everybody.